Many Canadian provinces are making cursive instruction optional in the curriculum. Joining us this morning to tell us the benefits of cursive writing on the brain is Ruth Rumack from Ruth Rumack's Learning Space. So good to have you here.
Good morning.
I was shocked to hear this a few years ago when they removed cursive writing from schools. Why did they do that?
I think there are many reasons. Sometimes it's a time issue that it takes a long time to practice these pieces, but then we also have this move towards keyboarding and really the emphasis on work ready and work placement.
Okay.
So that's where a little bit of the issue is coming from.
So if your child is not being taught in the classroom because of time constraints and they feel that the keyboard is the way to go, and you still want to encourage cursive writing, how do we do it at home? Because you say it does actually help the brain.
It is very important for the brain. In fact, when we know about the brain from MRIs is that both sides of the brain are stimulated when we do cursive. Very different from printing alone and very different from keyboarding. And it stimulates things like language, memory, cognition, thinking, problem solving. So all of these pieces are really important for us to keep stimulating. If we don't keep stimulating those parts of the brain, what's going to happen to them?
Okay, so what can we do? Teach us some tricks.
Okay, so it's really fun. It's really about, fine motor skills. So you want to practice anything with your little ones that will allow them to practice those tiny skills that will make their muscles stronger.
Like holding a pencil properly.
Like holding a pencil. So let's start there. So I like to use small pencils because it's easier to grip. And one of the ways that we teach our students how to hold their pencil is you take your two front fingers and you pick it up at the tip and then you flip it over so that it's resting nicely in the middle of your...
Can you do it again for the camera?
I can.
So we'll get it really
ready?
slowly.
So I'm going to pinch it at the bottom.
Pinch it at the bottom.
And then I'm going to turn it so it's lying right in the middle between my thumb and my first finger.
Okay.
And then my middle finger is going to hold it up. There are many different grips.
Yeah.
This is one of the more popular ones.
Okay.
But it's something that will allow for greater movement.
Okay.
So how do you help your children get those fine motor skills? Well, it's a lot of hands-in activities. So if you put your fingers in there, draw a nice D for me.
Okay.
Do you feel how it's a bit resistant?
Yes.
And you can feel the sand pulling between your fingers? Well, that's allowing your brain to get those messages to remember what shape the letters should be.
And then you just do one of these, and you can
shake
do
it
this
off.
with the whole letter.
That's right. And this is
Every
really
letter of the
nice
alphabet.
and firm sand. This is
is.
magic sand. And it's not too messy either.
Okay.
You can do the same thing in crystals. You can do the same thing in sand. Finer sand, but anything that gives you resistance and gives you that feedback so that you, BT, I love it. Here's another one.
And that's fun for them too, right?
It's so much fun. It's really engaging, and it allows the students to practice those skills without actually having to think it's work.
Okay.
Pick up one of those tweezers.
Okay.
Tweezers are really important. You're going to pick up a bead from one of our ice cube trays and drop it in an empty
These
one.
are difficult
It's
tweezers.
hard.
I'm not going to lie to you. Where did you get these?
They're tricky. They're tricky.
Oh my gosh, Ruth.
You can use anything that you want.
Patience is required. Why are these
Okay, I'm
tweezers?
sorry.
Hold on.
There you go. You
And
did
drop
it. Go.
it?
Drop it.
Okay.
And you can use pom-poms, you can use cotton balls, you can use feathers, you can use anything. I would go with bigger items first.
Okay.
Can I
So
show you
this
another
is
one?
all good for the fine motor skills.
Fine motor skills. Beading is another one. You
Okay.
can choose one of those beads and throw it onto the string. The bigger the bead, again, the better.
Okay.
And another thing that we like to use is small pieces of chalk.
Okay.
So if you have a chalkboard at home, if you have any writing surface, the smaller the better because it forces those tiny little muscles to be working harder. And then in cursive, the idea is that you need connected letters. And the connection of the letters is what really creates those neural pathways that help stimulate the brain.
And I know we were saying earlier, it means to run, which is what we learned. Cursive actually means to run because you actually work and write that much faster when it's connected.
Yes.
Which is why I know, in university, that's the only way you could get down anything that was being said. Now it's all via keyboard. So what's going to happen with signatures if people are only printing?
Well, it's not funny because there are already cases where you don't have a signature. I remember talking to one of my students and they said, what do you mean a signature? And they had to go out and practice because they had to sign for their passport.
Maybe they'll be using emojis instead to sign off.
Oh my goodness, a big heart.
For more information, where do we get any info from your
That
school?
would be ruthrumack.com.
And we can actually have tutors come to the home?
Yes. Well, we work in our office. We're at Bloor and Spadina, and we have another location at Yonge and Davisville.
Okay, great tips. Thank you. Right now, over to Mel.